Kerristen, and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Relocate Podcast. So, I am here today with Zennie from episode 1, and we are going to flip the script a little bit today. We're going to talk about how to prepare for hurricanes and winter storms. I think it's very important to not wait until the last minute to prepare. Sometimes you just don't know about these things until a week beforehand. And sometimes, even with hurricanes, you don't even, you 1 minute the hurricane's not in the path of where you live, and the next minute the eye is gonna hit you in like 48 hours. So it's a lot, and it gives you little time to prepare. So here we are today. We're gonna break down just our overall experiences with these type of weather conditions, how it compares to where our hometowns are versus where we currently reside, our experiences that we had in other cities that we lived in. Going to talk about preparation and just our overall like takeaways from these moments in life. Make sure you are subscribed to the Relocate podcast. Make sure you follow. There'll be new episodes every Wednesday. This is kind of like a bonus episode. Every now and then when I feel inspired, I'll just add this to the repertoire. But yeah, usually it's not like this, but I don't know. Maybe if y'all have requests, I might bring on a guest who has experience dealing with such conditions. So just let me know. All right. Yeah, leave it in the comments. You can email it to me, therelocatepod@gmail.com. Or just leave any suggestions in the comments about other topics. I mean, I never experienced a tsunami. I don't know what that's like. Can't really speak to earthquakes. Don't know what that's like. Um, yeah, but I can tell you about snow and hurricanes, and that's what we're about to do right now. So,
Yes.
um, so just a little bit about my background. I shared it a bit in episode 10 of the Relocate Pod, but I am from uh, the coastal area of South Carolina, and it snowed once in my life. And that was back in, yeah, it did. It snowed in Charleston one time.
Mhm.
And yeah, girl, and it was like 7 to 8 inches of snow.
Yeah,
Um,
feeling it out there.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that it wasn't, yeah, it was pretty bad. But not bad
Yeah.
to the point where the lights and stuff, like the electricity stopped working. Like maybe it
Okay.
did in certain areas, but in my area I wasn't impacted by
Good.
any power outages. What can I say about it? Um, yeah, that it was just a one-time occurrence. Nobody believed that it was snow, and then it actually snowed. Like, like I,
Yeah.
right, like I fell asleep. I took a nap. It was just as sunny as it could be, and then woke up 7 to 8 inches. Like, dang. um, Yeah, so I mean that was like my and it snowed in Clemson maybe like once or twice. I went to school in Clemson for those who are new to this podcast. Um, went to school there for 4 years. It snowed maybe twice. And I realized early on I didn't like snow. So yeah, back in 2007.
It didn't take you long to figure that out, huh?
Yeah, it did not take me long. But hurricanes though, I could tell you about that. Uh
Hmm.
being near the coast, um, you have a little more time to prepare for conditions. But yeah, I guess my folks have been blessed in a sense because uh, when hurricanes typically happen, it just kind of leaves a lot of flooding, and the wind, depending on how strong the hurricane is, usually cause structural damage to homes, trees falling, makes it hard to travel to certain areas if the trees are in the road. Um, But luckily, my family has never experienced that. Never. We've had power outages maybe once or twice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And not for
And
long, huh?
yeah, not for long.
Okay.
Not at all. Yeah, the hurricane like parties and stuff were fun. You're gonna be inside anyway, so
Might as well
might as
make the
well,
best of
make the
it.
best of it. Bring your board games,
Okay.
bring your corn liquor.
Girl,
Somehow
not corn liquor.
that's what folks call it, corn liquor.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a different experience for me. So that sounds much more fun than what I've experienced.
And
Um,
what
I'm
was it
from
like?
Chicago. I think I said that in the first episode. But I am from
Yeah.
Chicago, born and raised in Chicago. Um, so I am very familiar, much more familiar with snow. Um, More like a couple of feet, you know, 10 feet of snow is common. So we really didn't the city really doesn't shut down that much because this is something that the city is built for. Like we're used to this. Our clothing is different. Our tires on our cars are different. You know, our electricity is different. Everything is different because of the weather. So I honestly don't recall having power outages for the years that I've been here. It's just cold. We would prepare a little bit different. We would know the snow was coming in, of course, but we would go to like Lowe's or something and get the really thick plastic, really, really like super thick plastic. I don't even know what it's called, but if you know, you know, and put it up around the windows. And you have to tape your windows to keep the air out. Of course, we still have radiators because Chicago is a very old architecture, you know, type of place. Everything stays in its original, you know. But cut your radiators, make sure your heat is up, make sure your radiators are working. If you got to drain them before that storm comes, then you got to do what you got to do. And layer your clothes. That's really how we prepared for it. You just layer, 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 and then you go. Trains are still running, buses are still running. Um, I will say the commute time is something different. So the city would prep like main streets and then come to residential streets. So that was hard. Um, but yeah, that's something we can our traditions, our Chicago traditions that we get into. But yeah, definitely different versus where I am now. I've had more snow days where I live now than I have actually in Chicago where I grew up. So
You gotta be kidding me.
no, the city doesn't stop, baby, for some snow. Mm-mm. Come on in. The snow will literally be up to the door, like in the middle of the doorway, and snow is heavy. That is heavy. So you just got to get up. You got to be at work at 8. I guess you up at 3, 4 o'clock. You got to do what you got to do. So yeah, automatic start on your car. If not, go out there, warm the car up. And when I was growing up as a kid, you start the car, just leave your keys in the car and just start your car. Trust me, nobody is out there gonna steal your car because it's just too cold. It's too much snow. We got shoveling and stuff to do. We just need the car to be warm. Mm. So our preparation was definitely different. Definitely different.
Yeah. Nah, the moment a little piece of white stuff fall on the ground in South Carolina,
Baby, no.
everything shut down.
Yeah,
Everything. Take the
we know
kids.
the difference between the snow that's gonna stick to the ground and the snow that's not. Like it was a little flurries earlier today, and I was like, oh. And just by the way that it fell, I was like, oh, that's not gonna stick. That ain't gonna be nothing. Like we can just it's just something that you know living here.
Oh, by the way, y'all, Zennie, she's currently in Chicago right
Oh yes,
now.
I'm in Chicago. Yay, I'm
Yeah.
home for Christmas.
So she's talking about flurries. She's in Chicago. If y'all tuned into episode 1, you know she lives in Houston. But right
Yeah.
now, at the time of this recording, she's in Chicago.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's get into talking a little bit more about hurricanes. Just experiences that we've had. in South Carolina. Well, I've had in South Carolina, and what Zennie and I experienced in Houston during the times that we lived there, and just best ways to prep because hurricanes are no joke, especially in Houston. It's
Yeah.
a different beast. I just did not expect coming from South Carolina. Okay, yeah, the roads are gonna flood. Um, but Houston, I was not familiar with your game. The at the way that the water just kind of sits and
It
like
needs to
it
be
sits
studied.
so tall.
Yeah. That needs to be studied because there's no way when you see it, you just like, how is this? And it just keeps rising. Yeah, it's crazy. You're like, oh, there used to be a park. Entire park is covered. Oh, I was just walking there yesterday. You can try it now. Something in that water, but you could try it now.
Not swimming.
Try to get in there now. Don't walk it out. Take Lassie over there if you want to. Houston is
Uh,
no joke, man.
it's not. Uh, in regards to prep,
Hmm.
unfortunately, a lot of my takeaways are going to come from my experience in Houston because the way that the water levels just rise, like you
Hmm.
said, it needs to be studied. So the the first time, it wasn't even a hurricane; it was more of a tropical storm.
That tropical
And
storm. What was that? 2001?
21,
Was that 21?
20, I think it was maybe 2019.
That was 2019. Yeah, it had to
Yeah,
be.
it was before the
Yeah, that was
pandemic.
19. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was on the way to work 8 o'clock in the morning, and the sky was just as dark as my hair. And I turned around and I went home, and it just did not look good. I've never seen the sky look like that before during a tropical storm, let alone a hurricane. And as soon as I got home, something said park on higher ground, and I did.
I'm
And
glad you
15
did.
minutes later, the whole street was flooded. So, my key takeaway, and just the best way I think you can prepare for a hurricane, because it on a normal day in Houston, like rainy day, it kind of floods a little bit already.
Hmm.
So I already have it in my mind, if I know it's gonna rain, then park on like an elevated, like,
Elevator surface. Yeah.
yeah, elevated surface. And if you can find a parking garage, if you know it's going to get really, really bad, find a parking garage. If it's like a hospital parking garage, yeah, find higher ground.
Higher
That would
ground.
be my biggest takeaway. I
That's a good.
just Yeah, because so many people, I've heard of their vehicles getting flooded, and uh yeah, when you go shopping, always buy something extra
Yes.
that's gonna be beneficial. Styrofoam plates, cups. Nobody ever thinks about that stuff. You don't want to be stuck with a whole bunch of dishes you gotta wash if your power goes out. So
Power go out. A few days later, they're gonna cut the water off. So you lucky if you still have water, because that happened to a few people as well in my two experiences. They shut
from
the
the
water.
hurricanes,
Mm-hmm. Contamination. You know how they say you on the boiling water notice, and sometimes they put us on the notice, and sometimes they just cut the water off in some areas. So I will say stock up on water. That just sounds, cliche, but just stock up on water. Um, those candles, they got Mary on them. They burn for a long time. Go to Dollar Tree and stock up. They burn slow, but they burn for a long time. Um, get you a grill, the match like charcoal, batteries, backup batteries, battery packs. Because there's so many apartments, and a lot of us can't have generators. You're not supposed to really have a grill at a lot of those places. But that little $30 grill, go and get you something. You just need something to hold you over because you're not going to be able to eat. So you need a way to cook your food. Everything is electric down there. Very few places in Houston are gas stove. So everything is electric. Power goes out. That's it. I think that was a great part. to park on higher ground because I didn't have that available in the area that I was in. So I actually um I did get caught in the rain and I was able to make it home. Honest to God, I was probably 10 minutes away from my house and it flooded just that fast in about 10 minutes.
Oh.
I was able to make it home. You remember the place that I stayed in. I was able to make it home perfectly fine. Car was fine. That lot had not flooded yet. The lot that I lived in,
Mhm.
an hour later, flooded. You could literally swim. Like it was that deep enough for you to swim in that water. My car, I was one of those people that was very fortunate enough to have to get my car repaired. I was without a car for about a month or so.
Oof.
The water was so heavy, just so strong. It took everything under the car and just said, come with me. So the bottom of my car, everything from the bottom of my car was just hanging. So yeah, Geico was very happy. If they told me if they couldn't fix it, they was just gonna total it out. Keep your insurance updated at all times. And I know it can be expensive when you live in flood zones, but gap insurance and your full coverage will save you. That saved me. That saved me. Because of that, and I did have full coverage. I still have full coverage. They were just gonna total out my car, but they were actually able to gut everything out and fix my car, and I didn't pay anything. So that was great. So keeping up with your insurance because it is so unpredictable. A lot of people worry about accidents and things like that in Houston, which is true. You should for that reason, but that weather comes in. That was just a tropical storm back in 2019, and that was something different. And that was a few days actually. So, um, a friend of mine who lived 10 minutes away actually had electricity, and it didn't flood over there as bad as it did 10 minutes away from. And I'm up the, just right up the street. So it's a little different. And my zone at the time wasn't considered a flood zone. So I was
Wow.
still just as say, wait a minute, what's going on? So I think that would be a great point as well. Just making sure that your coverage is there. Get it like non-conventional things that you wouldn't think about. Um, your canned foods, your waters, a grill, match like charcoal. Because you're gonna think about it in that moment. You won't find a piece of charcoal, nothing for a fireplace. No, I mean, you won't find anything. Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit. So I think that's important. Um, a tip that you gave me, you have like the gallon jugs of water that you just fill with faucet water. I keep that because I'm like, this is not drinking water, but this is just for the purpose of everything else. That way I'm not using my drinking water. And that's something that I still do now that I have at the house. Just
Yep.
things that I know, okay, I'm gonna need this. So
Yep. Oh,
that
hold on.
definitely got me through.
Let me grab a gallon container so people can see a visual. Hold on.
Okay. Hey y'all, like her podcast, subscribe to her podcast, share her podcast. Cause Kerristen is doing her thing. And we love it. It's informative, it's great. She's doing her thing. That's all.
Okay, so yeah, something like this.
Yes.
I don't recycle or throw these away. I fill it with tap water and I mark it as such and I set it to the side because you
Yep.
just never know when your electricity goes out and stays out for days, maybe even weeks.
Hmm.
Sometimes that's what happens when hurricanes occur. And now that I know that power can go out during a winter storm, I save the jugs year round now because power goes out in Texas sometimes.
Mhm. Oh, another thing that I learned that last one, because remember I said it at my friend's house.
The winter
Um,
storm.
the
Okay,
plumbing,
gotcha.
the water didn't work at all. Like plumbing, they cut the water off. Cut the water off. So this is my friend who did have power for a few days and then just randomly went out. Everything stopped. There was no more tropical disasters and all that good stuff. We were just cold. So he did have a fireplace, but to get the toilets to flush, So when the power was on, I would put mini heaters in each room and just close the doors, and that's how we would just kind of hold ourselves over. But I did something. I took his garbage can. I went to the pool. I filled the garbage can up with the pool water, and I poured it in the back of the toilet, so we were able to use the restroom and flush the toilet. You gotta do what you gotta do, and it worked. Okay. Um, but that actually held us over because those garbage cans are what? How many gallons? That holds you over. That way, you're actually able to properly use the restroom, and you just not holding on to stuff.
Oh yeah.
Some people can't hold on; they gotta just let that go. So you can do what you gotta do and handle your business. Is on, but that water, that gallon water, is another thing. You know, most apartment
Yeah.
complexes in Houston do have pools, but at the time I was staying at a friend's house who was not actually prepared. But I just had to do what I had to do, and that survival kicked in, and I was like, okay, let me go get this pool water. That's another
Yep.
tip.
That's
So
a good one.
there you go. There you go.
That's a good one. Okay, so we've kind of transitioned over to winter prep,
Hmm.
prepping for winter storms, snowstorms, and such. Um, you mentioned back in, you said 1996, there was some type of storm that occurred
Like
in
96,
Chicago.
97. I remember. I remember that they shut the city down, and I was so excited. So the snow was so high. Oh, I wish I could share my screen and show you some pictures. But the snow was so high, like the buses, our public transportation buses were covered. Like people could walk on top of all of that. Like there was no way to get in or out. Your cars were covered. Everything was canceled, of course. But I will never ever forget that. And I remember my grandmother and my mom frantically running to the stores that week, just packed. So here, you just want to prepare as best as you can as far as like food, because y'all are going to be in the house for, you know. And when you stuck in the house, you just hungry, real hungry, more hungry than you'll ever be. You don't have nothing else to do. So yeah, you just prep as much as you can. Like I said, there's gas here. Our gas and electric is something separate. We don't really have power outages like that. I can probably count on my one hand if we've experienced it, but I don't necessarily think it was due to snowstorms. But yeah, that's a very vivid, like that's a clear memory for me. And it was so cool. I mean, once in college, they didn't necessarily shut everything down, but the city was definitely at a slower pace. And the people who weren't from here were like so excited to go outside, and I was just chilling in my dorm room. Like I don't have to go out there. But yeah, no, we don't necessarily, like I said, we don't necessarily get the power outages, but our best way to prep is if you do have to go out, making sure that you got everything that's, you know, you got your long johns. They still sell that for us up here. So your thermal wear, they don't call them long johns. Your thermal wear, your shirts, your pants, you got your thermal socks or winter socks, you got heat warmers, your hand warmers in your pocket, and then your shoes. They make those now because they didn't have that. At the time, we didn't have the hand warmers and stuff. So I would wear tights and then my thermal wear and then jeans and then thick socks and then my boots. And then I would put on my t-shirt, well, my thermal shirt, my t-shirt, whatever I was going to put like a sweater or something, and then my coat. That's how we would prepare back in the 90s. Like, that's what we was doing, early 2000s. That's like, that's how you prepare. Then the thermal wear became thinner. So if you're ever in Chicago, I don't know, you may get somebody. If you're ever in Chicago during the winter, stuck, working, you move here, 32 degrees is a great rent. It's not a promo, but y'all can't pay me. It's real good. And it's great for the winter. Like, nobody tells you, but the clothing is different. The clothing is definitely different for the winter here. Like the same, you won't find the same things at the Old Navy here, Old Navy there, Costco here, Costco there, because they actually prepare us for that stuff and get you a good down coat. A cute coat ain't gonna get you through the winter. You need a good down coat. That's gonna cost you something, but it's an investment piece. The coat I have now at the time cost me about $400 something, and I still got that coat. Ain't no wrong with that coat. That coat gonna last me a long time because it cost me too much money to get rid of. So it don't matter what happens. That coat staying with me. But it's a good coat. I can go out there in a t-shirt with that coat on and I won't feel anything. I won't
Oh,
feel a little bit
that's
of wind.
impressive.
It's a really good coat. I'm not gonna endorse them. I want money from them. I can't tell you the coat. But y'all know. It looked like foil on the inside of the coat. That's the coat you need. If you see it, you'll see it. You still have to like shovel the snow and stuff in your place, but yeah. If you don't shovel the snow in front of your house, you're gonna get fined by the city. So we don't want that. Or if
Which
somebody
is another.
slips on ice, black ice is a thing. So you want good slip resistant boots. That's another thing to prepare for because you can't see black ice, but it'll see you and you out of here.
It's
You going
actually
down.
black.
We call it black ice because you really can't see it. So the concrete, the streets are, the cement, the streets. We just call it black ice because you can't see that. You know how some ice you can see. You can see it's white, like you can see the ice. You can't see black ice. Next thing you know, you fishtailing and sliding, and that's invisible ice. It's
Okay.
there, but you won't know it until you on it. Like you won't know that you own that. If you're not paying attention, you won't know until you own it. And most of the time, when you're driving, it looks like it's a little glare, but you can't really. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Yeah, we don't do the speed limit here in those days. You really just doing like 10 miles an hour because sometimes that might be too fast. Because if you slide, safety as well. If you're driving up here, don't slam on your brakes if you're ever sliding on ice. That's not a smart thing to do. Just slowly take your foot off the gas, and then you can navigate the car on how to. But don't read on that. Just don't do it. Don't slam on your brakes. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. I did experience black ice in Texas, so yeah. Also, another thing I experienced in Texas, I stopped a lot of people from cracking their windshields during that tropical storm, winter, whatever power, whatever we had. Um, you can't get into your cars because the locks are frozen and the windows are frozen. Like you can't get in. Don't. It's common sense to me, but I realize that's not common. So don't put boiling hot water on your car. Don't pour it on the windows. You will crack your windshield. Please don't do that. Don't do that. Just wait a little minute to get in your car. Just, yeah. Don't do
Oh,
that.
and speaking of vehicles, girl, you another good point. Um, if you have a private garage and you're cold and you just want to get in your car and crank it up, please don't do that while the garage door is closed.
Please keep the door up.
You'll die.
Real quick.
You will die. That 1,000 ways to die.
It's
I'm
on
sure
there.
that is, yeah, it's on there.
It's on there. You
Yeah.
won't even know.
Yeah. Open up your garage.
Wake up dead.
Yeah, or wake up dead. Those are your two options.
That's
Wake up dead.
it. That's it. Yo, because you know how crazy that is? Like, during this last hurricane in Houston, they literally had to send out, you know how they send out Amber Alerts? They had to send out like an emergency alert to people to let them know, like, those generators, you can die from carbon monoxide. Like, you can die from that. People were using them in the homes with no airflow. Don't do that, baby. Let's take it back to the science days. Let's not do that. We want you here with us. You
Yeah.
need some sort of airflow. We need the H2. Oh, that's water. We need the oxygen in there. We need the oxygen flowing. Okay. So we need y'all around. Don't hurt yourself. Just keep the
Yeah.
air flowing, please. And it's a thing because you're gonna sit in your car because that's where the heat is at. You need to charge your phone. So I get it. You want to charge the backup batteries in the car. Just be mindful of when you do. Just be mindful. And then down here, I mean, well, in Texas, I mean, ain't just be careful, y'all. Please be careful. It's no joke. There are plenty of warming stations. Um, Unfortunately, a lot of people do pass around that time when those things happen because um they think, oh, the power come on, or my neighbor got power, so you think eventually yours gonna come on, and it don't necessarily work that way sometimes. You can be right across the street from a person and be on a different power grid. It's no telling down there in Texas. So just if you need to go to those warming stations or those shelters or whatever in place, go there temporarily. And I know some people don't want to leave their home. It is a safety thing. I understand. I completely understand. And it's scary when you have to get up and go to one place and then you don't even know how long you're going to be there. You don't know who's
Yeah.
there, what's going to happen. It is scary, but we'd rather have you alive and well than you suffering from hypothermia or whatever the case may be and you're no longer with us. So just be safe. Check on your people all the time. Call, work some things out. Hey, can I come over there? You be at least you'll be with a group of people and y'all will be warm together. So I look at it that way versus you just gonna hold down the fort at your home. And nobody wants to leave the comfort of their home, especially in them circumstances. It was it's a very hard decision that I had to make as well, like up and leaving. Because most of the time I was there in that situation by myself. So that is a very hard decision to make. But I always let somebody know what's going on. Share your locations if that's possible. Let people know what's happening with you and what's going on with you. If you do know, if they telling you that a storm may come, book a hotel. Them cancellations are free for 24 up until 24 hours. Book a hotel. Like if you don't know, your best bet is to book a hotel in advance. And they book fast. They book
And they price
so
gouge.
they are going to price gouge like crazy. 2 days will cost you $1,200. You like, huh, wait a minute. Yeah, so just I would say, if you got your village and you got your people down there, y'all talk about that. Come up with a plan in the case of this. If this is gonna happen, where we're gonna meet, what are we gonna do? Y'all can rotate houses because I'm sure it's gonna happen again. We at your house the first time, we at my house the second time, third time. Like let's rotate and figure this thing out. We all come together. You bring the waters, you bring the food. I got the grill and the charcoal. Just try to like plan it out that way. Because y'all really don't know how long y'all going to be in that situation. But to prepare and to keep everyone safe, y'all probably won't get on each other's nerve that much in the house. But it is what it is. Everybody safe, everybody well, everybody alive. And that's the most important thing. Because you can replace a lot of things, but your life ain't one of them that you can replace. And we want you here. So that's just, be
Mhm.
safe and all of that.
Yes, please be safe.
Yeah.
Um, I have three more takeaways,
Hmm.
and then we gonna wrap up,
Cool beans.
right? So boom. I had to write these down because I'm like, oof, I can't. I'll be remiss if I don't mention these things.
Hmm.
During that winter storm in 2021, the temperature in my home dropped pretty drastically, and it was really cold. So I learned quickly that whenever a storm happens, whether it's a hurricane or a winter storm, to identify the hottest or the coldest, depending on what you need, room in the house, and just
Hmm.
stay there as much as you can and keep it
Yep.
as cool or as warm as possible.
Hmm.
So that winter storm occurred. I slept in my bathroom.
That
That
was
was
the
the
warmest place for
warmest.
me.
Yeah, no windows.
Keep the door closed in my closet and in the bathroom, and keep the door closed. As much as you want to go in and out and walk around because you bored, keep the doors closed. That is gonna save you. I know it's Texas and it's hot, but invest in a good heavy comforter, good down comforter. You'll probably never really use it. You're gonna need it. Something to wrap you up. You're going to need it. Not a cute one from Walmart. A heavy one. Real good heavy one. Something that's gonna cost you a little bit of money. But that helped me too. I did wear my winter coat, but I was wrapped up in good blankets. So that helped.
I'm
Good
gonna add
point.
that to my list.
Good point.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
here we go. When it's cold outside and your power doesn't work and you're wondering, oh, my food is gonna spoil, what I'm gonna do with it? Why don't you put it outside? It's cold anyways.
That's what we do. I growing up, when the refrigerators was full, we just sit the food on the back porch. It's cold. It never went bad. Sometimes it'll be frozen when you bring it in the house because it's that cold outside. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Ain't nobody gonna touch it. Put it on the balcony, back porch. It's all right. That's valid. I've been doing that my whole life. I will sit some food outside, baby. It's okay. Not uncovered. You just bought it from the grocery store, still packaged up. You good. Tie them bags up and put this stuff outside. It's all right.
It's
It's all
okay.
right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is the last takeaway because these things you just can't. I mean, you can wait until the last minute to prepare, but you might not be able to find a case of water. Like, that's usually one of the first things to go.
Yeah.
So, I would like to, in addition to shopping like you regularly do and just adding one or two items that could benefit you
Mm-hmm.
during a disaster like that, I would say create a high yield savings account and put maybe $5 in a month or $10 in a month. You just never know when you need to actually leave the whole city that you live in. You
So
just
I've
never know.
definitely had to evacuate. So yes, that is true. I actually had to drive to Dallas. And Dallas is a 4-hour drive and it took me 8. So leave. Keep gas in your car. I tell people at least keep half a tank of gas in your car. But when I get to half a tank, I top it off. Cause I'm a little traumatized. But keep gas in your car. Cause 8 hours for a 4-hour trip is crazy.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
That's wild, especially
I
when it's
do
cold
want to
outside.
add a tip. If you are here in Chicago, ever during during the winter, baby, it don't matter if it's a storm or not. If you see somebody put a chair, this is tradition. You don't ask no questions, you just follow the rules. Cause it's that serious to us. You see a chair, like a folding chair. You see a cone. You see a table. You see a baby Jesus statue. If you see the nativity scene in somebody's parking spot that somebody shoveled, you touch it, I can't help you. We fight about that. We fight about our parking spots. We have to shovel out the snow and put in our own parking spot. We put chairs, brooms, fans, whatever we got that's big, we're going to put it in our parking spot. And when I get home from work, it better be there. So when I pull up, I could just move my stuff, throw it in the snow, and park. Yeah, don't ever move somebody's stuff. We serious about that. It's a thing that we do here. We going to always do it. If I work that hard to move all that, shovel all that snow, don't touch my stuff. That's just survival 101 for one. That's make that the number one rule right there. I want y'all to be safe in the city. And that's the number one way to be safe in the city during the snow. People think it's crazy. I've experienced here where people who are not from here, they actually live on the block that I grew up on, come and move stuff. They did that to my brother a few years ago, moved his stuff, and my brother was like, "Hey, you got to move your car." They was like, "I live right here though. I don't care where you live. You got to go park around the corner and find a new spot. Cause baby, I worked hard for this. We don't do that. We can't have that. You know? Is it law? It's Chicago law. Is it written somewhere? That's our business. Just don't do it. We got our own rules. So y'all be safe this Christmas season, this winter season. I want what's best for y'all. So if you ever visiting, just don't do it. It wasn't a courtesy shovel. Somebody was out here in the dark hours of the night shoveling snow. There you go. That's my tip.
My That's a really good tip. It
No
really
fact, because
is.
we take it so serious. Because don't play. Don't do that. Don't do
That's a good tip. Okay. Um,
that.
my last takeaway is this is more, I guess, tied towards hurricane prep than anything else. Um, the one blaring difference I experienced between hurricane evacuating in South Carolina or evacuations in South Carolina and in Houston, I feel like because South Carolina is a lot smaller, like you can literally fit the whole population of South Carolina into the city of Houston,
Yeah.
right? So if the coastal area of like Charleston needs to evacuate, they'll change the routes of the interstate. So everyone is like forced to drive outside, like of the they're forced to drive away from the coast to make it easier for the traffic to flow.
That's.
Um,
I wish Texas would do that, but okay.
yeah, that's not gonna happen in Houston. So if you can subscribe to like the text messages and stuff that
Yes.
um, this wherever you live, if it's in a hurricane prone area, subscribe to your city's emergency preparedness line.
Yes.
Because sometimes they're gonna downplay the severity of
Hmm.
whatever is happening, but a lot of times they don't do that. Like if
Yeah.
they tell you to leave, then you might want to leave.
You might want to
Like,
leave.
and don't
Yeah.
wait till last
I
minute
want to leave.
because the traffic's gonna be awful. They might not
Yeah.
have like that flexibility like they do in Charleston to just reverse the lanes and everybody just travel one way.
Because that is
Um,
possible. Yeah.
yeah. And Zennie said she was stuck for 8 hours in that winter storm. That's the same thing that's gonna happen
Yeah.
during a hurricane in a
Yeah.
bigger city like Houston.
And there's one way to Dallas. So just, yeah, prep as much as you can. Oh, cash. Please have cash. I know that's not, it seemed like it'll make sense. You like, duh, you need cash. That's not the first thing on a lot of people's mind. You got money in your account. You like, bet I'm good. No. When electricity is out, I don't know. It's just not a common thing that a lot of people think about. You can't go to the ATM, baby. You can't. So have cash, put it somewhere, at least to get you from point A to point B, at least for gas, at least for food. Even if it's something small, even if all y'all get is lunch meat, cheese, and bread, to make sandwiches, something like for real, like get you something. You need cash. You're not able to go to the ATM. There's no internet, so you can't pay for services online. How are you gonna connect to the internet? And half the time, you got so many people in your area trying to get online to do something. Like that's just sometimes it's just not possible. So make sure you have cash somewhere. If you putting $5 aside every month, whatever it is, like you said, you putting a little bit of something away. By the time hurricane season comes around again, or those tropical storms come around, or those winter storms come around, which is pretty much around the same time every year in Houston. Um, what do they start? I think they say August starts hurricane season, like mid-August or something like that, going into October, something like that, September ish, whatever, something like that, right? I think.
It's like usually earlier, like May or June.
Yeah, save it whenever it is. Start putting your money aside now, like just because we are right now for the month of December. Like we in the clear. I think praise hope Jesus. I feel like we're good, but just save your money. Like put a little bit aside, and especially during the holiday, that's really hard to do. But it'll save you such a headache, and a lot of people don't think about that. Those lines at the ATM were crazy.
Well, if you want more tips and tricks, I'm definitely going to add a list of things to definitely look out for, how to prep, and it'll be free 99 because I don't want you to wake up dead. So let's go.
Please don't. We need you here.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need
please.
you here. Put them in the comments, email her, all that good stuff.
So if you want more information about hurricane and winter storm preparedness and different supplies and suggested items to purchase beforehand, definitely hit up my website. I'll add all that information into the description of this episode. Thank you, Zenny, for joining
Of
us
course,
on this
anytime.
episode and sharing your level of expertise dealing with these things. And
Yes.
yeah, so I'm Kerristen. Make sure you tune in every Wednesday for a new episode of the Relocate Podcast. Have a great day and ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho.